I just want to jump on here real quick and talk about an experience that I had when I was a child with cheating, injustice, and the grace of God, quite honestly. So just real quick, when I was in the 5th grade, I lived in a town called Los Gatos, which was an affluent suburb of Silicon Valley, okay? And so the elementary school I went to was full of basically affluent kids. Now, in the 5th grade, our family hit a trial where my mom quit working, like maybe in the 3rd grade or so, and then my stepdad was laid off in the 5th grade. Okay, so we had basically no income. My mom was trying to get back into work. We were living on unemployment, and I remember just eating cornflakes, every day. To this day, I hate cornflakes, because things were just so tight. My mom was just so penny pinching everything. I remember riding my bike to school. It was the same bike I had when I was 5 years old. I'm 10 now. Everyone's got these mountain bikes with shocks and all this cool stuff. I had this little kid bike I'm riding to school, literally, because things were just tight for us for a while. And that year in 5th grade, I think it was 1992 or so, Super Nintendo came out. Okay, and at my school, everyone's getting Super Nintendo, talking about Super Mario World and all this stuff. And I asked my mom, can I get a Super Nintendo? She's like, absolutely not. There is no way in the world you're not getting it for Christmas. You're not getting it for, we can't afford it. You're not getting a Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And so it left me feeling kind of left out at school, maybe a little insecure. Everyone's talking about Yoshi. I'm like, who's Yoshi? And so anyways, this event comes up at my elementary school. It's a walkathon. It's a fundraiser. And this year they say, hey, whoever walks the most laps, you're going to win a Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It was like, wow, this is my only shot to get a Super Nintendo. And so I woke up, I said, Mom, you got to get me there right at the beginning. This is the only route. This is how I'm going to get a Super Nintendo. And so from the start, I just started running. Running these laps. And you get these little punch cards every time you run a lap. These moms are out there in this checkpoint and they're checking you off. And I just run. I'm like, going. And I start off and I just, everyone takes a break usually. I didn't take a break. I just got an apple, just ate, just kept going. If I was walking, just eating. But I never came off the track. It was I think it was 6-8 hours. And I was running, and I was in the lead. And I was starting to become for sure in the lead. I was the most disciplined, focused, kid out there because it was so important to me to get this. And after lunch, I kind of skipped lunch or ate as I was walking. But then towards the end, in the last hour or two, one of the most athletic kids in the whole school passes me by. And they start talking to me and they start saying, hey man, how many laps you got? Everyone's talking about how many laps you have. And I never knew anyone that had more laps than me at this point in time. And he showed me his card and he was 5 or 6 laps ahead of me. And these laps were a quarter mile or, a third of a mile or so. So it was he was somehow miles ahead of me. I don't understand how this is happening. In my mind, I'm so I'm just trying to catch him. I'm not stopped, but he's running even a little faster than I am. I ran all day. I think I ran as a 10-year-old. I don't know exactly how far I ran, but I think it was over 20 miles, okay? Close to a marathon when I look at how big that field was and how many miles I ran, or how many laps I ran. But at the end of the day, I ended up losing. And I remember I could barely even walk. I was just so dead tired as a kid. And my parents were just incredulous. They were there the whole time. They couldn't believe I kept going. It was so important to me. But they kept track of the school record of who ran the most. And I totally destroyed the history of the school record. I beat it. Except for I lost. And this guy beat me. And so, tough loss, and I couldn't believe that happened. There's an assembly, a week or two later after they collected all the money for all the laps that were ran and everything, and they gave away all these prizes. And I remember just, hoping I can get a Nerf gun, or just something cool that I could get as a consolation prize. I remember going to the office and saying, hey, I was the number one school record. Does that count for anything? Can I still get something for, even though I didn't win? They're like, no, sorry. And I remember I got like this, like, my prize was like this like noisemaker. Like, no joke. It was the worst prize, like, out of the whole school. Everyone's running, playing with these toys, and they're all different, and a lot of them are better than mine. And I remember just trying to play with this toy, knowing my heart was broken because I tried my absolute best, and all I had was this like noisemaker. And I was holding back tears as a fifth grade because I was like, in the universe, how could this be? And I remember throwing my noisemaker in the trash like 5 minutes after I got it. And just being like, man, what the heck? How could this? It was actually a defining moment in my life to try so hard and not win. And so fast forward now, I move out of the city. Fast forward, I'm in high school. I live in Aptos now. And dude, one night I was sleeping in my bed, and I was just thinking about the walkathon. I'm about to go to sleep. I'm laying there. I'm just drifting off, and I get this revelation that, I'm seeing this track, and it's a third of a mile or a quarter mile or whatever. And then there's all these booths and stuff, and there was the potential, and I got a revelation, you could go through the checkpoint, then go through the little snack shack booths, go through these trees, and go back on the course. And you could do like 1/10 of the distance and rack up laps. No joke. I get this revelation while I'm about to go to sleep. I sit up in my bed and I have this he cheated. The guy who beat me, he cheated. Now that's a big deal. I'm like 17 years old now. This is 7 years later. And I couldn't believe it. And so it was a big deal to me. I saw this kid at a party like a year later, because I lived in different cities. We weren't all connected on social media. I see him at a party. And I go up to him and I'm just like, man, I want to find out. Did he cheat? Would years later, would he confess? And I went up and I talked to him. Hey man, remember that walkathon? Whatever. Hey man, tell me the truth. You cheated, huh? Didn't you cheat? You went through the trees. You went back on the course. You went through this route. You racked up these laps while I was running. And you cheated, and that's how you won. And did he confessed, man? He said, yeah, I did. I cheated. He didn't realize how big of a deal that was to me at that time in my life, and how big of a deal it was even when I was 17, just to know. It's like, man, to have this, like, it felt good to know, like, I actually did win. I actually did break this school record. I actually, I won. And, it coming out in the light was really refreshing, actually. And, I was upset, of course, but at least I knew the truth. At least I knew it was hidden, was revealed. And that there's an element of satisfaction to know definitely that he cheated. So, what's the moral of the story here? That year, it was crazy. We were so broke at this time, and my mom was so adamant. This was in the fall. The walkathon was in the fall, going back to fifth grade. Christmas was coming up, right? And my mom was adamant, you're not getting for Christmas, for your birthday, we're not getting a Super Nintendo, I can't afford it. So we have Christmas, and I get all these gifts, and we're broke, so I'm getting like socks and underwear and, clothes, and not a whole lot of toys, just like necessities that I didn't even have. And it's like, all right, great, cool, and then they did that thing, oh, but I think there's one more hidden behind the tree. What's that? It wasn't addressed to anybody. It was just this like box. We open it. Oh my gosh, it's a Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And it was like pure joy. And it was an incredible moment for my family, because I knew that my mom had seen the work that I put in. They couldn't believe how much I ran. And she sacrificed to give me, and it was a powerful moment, because it showed how much my mom, and stepdad, they loved me. They sacrificed to get me this, because they knew it meant so much to me. And then I was included in school, and it was an amazing experience to get that on Christmas. It was a really magical moment that I also won't forget of getting. It just sounds so stupid, but it was such a big deal at the time to get a Super Nintendo Entertainment System as the last gift at Christmas, and having this really great Christmas where I'm finally discovering Yoshi for the first time and all this stuff. And so so that was great. So what's the moral of the story? Why am I sharing all this stuff? Just a few things that I just feel like are real is that, sometimes cheating happens and injustices happen and things like that happen to you that aren't right, and it hurts and it sucks. But eventually, like this was 7 years later, what's hidden in darkness will come out into the light eventually. Now, hopefully it's here on earth and you get that satisfaction of knowing here on earth. Sometimes you don't know till you go to heaven, and you're with God, and you can see it all clearly. But eventually it will come to light. Jesus says what's whispered in the ear will be shouted from the rooftops, okay? And that what's hidden in darkness will be brought into the light. That's just what's going to happen. There are no secrets in God's economy because he's omniscient. He knows everything. He sees everything. One of his names is El Roi, the God who sees me. So that's a powerful thing. So you could take heart knowing that God sees everything, and eventually what's hidden in darkness will be brought out into light, okay? And here's an amazing thing, is that in time, God will take all things that are wrong and he will make it right. I got to preach, this story. I got to lead up to the preach here. This is the preach. Romans 8:28 says that, and we know that God works all things out, even the bad things, even the injustices, even the painful things when people are evil towards you and wrong towards you and you suffer injustice. When we trust in the Lord, we have faith in God, he takes all those things that are wrong and eventually in time makes it right. And Romans 8:28 says that we know that God works all things out for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes. And so you can take comfort in knowing that God takes beauty from ashes, and even in injustices and even in areas, and this is a small example. I mean, gosh, I didn't win a walkathon to get a Super Nintendo. First world issue. But what's true on a small account is true on a larger account too. And so you can have hope and faith that if we just continue to do our best, continue to do the right things, and when those injustices come, we can forgive and we can put it in God's hands, trusting and knowing that God sees it and that God will act. It was almost a better thing for my family, my relationship with my parents, to see me fail, not get it, to try my best, to experience the agony of defeat, and see them make a huge sacrifice to bless me to see that work. It was a special moment that we had that probably would have been better than if I just earned it by being the best. And maybe I could have struggled with pride, but instead I received this gift by grace as opposed by earning it by being the best runner in the school or whatever. And so God will work it all out, and sometimes even better, even the things that are difficult and painful, he'll use it to make it a beautiful story. Just thought I should share that today. That's it. Hope you're having a good day. Bye.